Health IQ podcast. Vibrate your way to better health.
Today on Health IQ podcast, we will be talking about some non-traditional healing. Joining me at the table is Joyce Runyan, who has been researching and applying some natural healing to her life. And our crew today is Bobby Hockaday, and I am Brenda Bishop. And we just dive right in. There's so many things we've been learning about this past year about different methods of healing, but you have tried some even different ones. So I don't know where you want to start, but maybe let's start with some of the principles behind natural healing.
Okay, I'll do that. So for me, I really think that the body was designed to heal. I think we see that when we get a cut, when we catch a cold, even when we break something like a bone, which is very structurally important to us, that those things actually do get better. We don't just like, oh, I broke my hand, now I won't have use of my hand anymore. And so under those principles, there are other things you can do to help maintain and boost and help your own body be able to repair better. And so, and we talk about these things all the time. So one really big thing before I talk about some of the other unusual things that I've kind of tried here lately is nutrition. Nutrition is so important because that's how it feeds our cells. And we know that our cells are replacing themselves, replicating every day. We've got cell replacement going on. And so we want to make sure that we're fueling that in the best way possible. So that's going to mean like fresh vegetables, frozen vegetables, a variety of these vegetables. It's going to be good proteins. It's going to maybe be some grains. Maybe you're going to have to watch your dairy products. What type of fats are you using? Fats are really important for your cells, for your body. So we want to make sure that we're using healthy fats. So nutrition is really important for the maintenance of your body and to make sure that it can function properly. So, and we talk about nutrition, we've talked about it here lots of different times, but it's integral to having good cell structure. Another thing that's really important is sleep. So while we sleep, there's this organ in your body called the liver, and it does a lot of detoxifying of all the things you've done that day. So when we're sleeping, our liver is hard at work, cleaning out, clearing out, getting rid of toxins and things that we don't need in our system. And we know that if we damage our liver, that's very serious. And you can actually die from not having your liver functioning properly. So there are ways you can help maintain your liver. One thing that you can do is a castor oil pack, where you'd put castor oil on some flannel and put that up against where your liver is. If you don't know, it's here on your right side underneath your rib cage, and usually a little bit of heat, and that will help that absorb into your body, and it gives your liver a boost.
And you do it on the outside of your skin, so it's not something you don't have to drink that castor oil.
You don't if you drink it, you'll have another response, and we'll talk about that later. But yeah, it's just on the top of your skin. It's a way to boost that and help it to detoxify and keep you healthy. So we want to make sure that we're sleeping, because that happens when we sleep. When we're up during the day, our body's functioning, it's working, all those parts are being used. And so sleep is really important. And we know that for kids, and we want to make sure that kids are sleeping like they're supposed to, but we forget, well, yeah, I'm an adult, but I need to sleep too. And so sleep's really important. Sleep, nutrition. So I'll talk about hydration, which is another important thing. We want to make sure that we are drinking enough good liquids. So that's not necessarily coffee or sodas or even tea. The best thing you can be drinking is water. And if you, so another thing that I do lately is I have a jug of, that's my water because nobody else will drink it. And it has baking soda and Celtic salt in there, because Celtic salt has like 80 to 90 minerals that are foundational for our cells to function properly. And so when we take that in, it helps our cells function, it plumps them up, it gives them the right things that they need. So,
and it's just regular baking soda?
Well, I make sure it doesn't have anything else but the baking soda in it. And I have found that you can make your own baking soda, but I don't know the recipe for that. I think it's like cream of tartar maybe and some salts, but it's because they used to put aluminum or zinc in baking soda. And so I make sure it's just the baking soda.
Okay.
And so the other side of, am I hydrated enough? Well, how can you know? Well, you can know. So when we go to the restroom, we want to make sure that when the urine is a very light color, it should almost be clear. It should not be dark. It should not be golden or yellow or any of those things. If you're hydrated properly, it'll be a very clear color when you go to the restroom. The other thing that people don't really talk about for health is when you have a bowel movement. And you should have a bowel movement at least every day. Dr. Tina would even say you should have one after every meal, like 3 times a day. You should do that. So if these are things that are not functioning properly on you, then that's a clue that, maybe I need to do something about that to make sure that my body is eliminating those toxins, because that's what they're doing. It's getting the things out of your system that you no longer need there. And if you don't do that, all of that stuff builds up in you and can cause you problems. So sleep, nutrition, and hydration are really foundational for all of that. And then as we go on, I've talked about essential oils. That's another product that you can use to help clear your sinuses, help with pain. They can do a lot of different things, help with sleep. Another thing that I've used is a vibration plate. And that's just something that you stand on, and it really it vibrates, and it has different strengths of vibrating. And the reason you do that is because it helps stimulate your lymph system, which your lymph system is the one that takes all those toxins out of your body and moves them away and out and
to the liver.
Through the liver, out through your kidneys, out however it needs to go, but it gets them out of your system. And we don't want toxins building up because those things can turn into free radicals, which we know are not good or healthy for us.
I've been seeing a lot of commercials for those vibration boards in my news feeds.
And they're real easy. They're it's another thing that you just stand on. You can sit on it. I've known people who were in wheelchairs that could just put their feet on that. And just that little bit of stimulation helps your lymph system work properly. And so that's really important. So that's one thing that I've done. And they're just vibration plates. They're mats. And there's a little thing you stand on and they move you around. So another thing that we've also heard about recently is grounding. And that's just going outside and really connecting to the electromagnetic field that we find in the earth. And they suggest that you do that, like maybe 30 minutes a day. And if you've got a grassy yard, it's not so hard. But if you live here in
sticker patch,
where we have lots of bad stickers, that may not be your best bet. You may want to sit in a chair and put your feet on the grass. You can walk along a beach. You just want to make sure you're physically touching the earth.
So no shoes.
No shoes. No shoes. And I like shoes.
Me too.
So that's kind of hard for me. But if you wear sandals and go sit outside in a place that there are no stickers, even if it's just on the ground, that's good. Walk along the beach.
Not on the sidewalk.
No, not on the sidewalk, because you're not connecting with the earth.
Oh, yeah.
So you don't, and that would probably burn your feet too. So you want to make sure that you're connecting to that electromagnetic field. We have done a interesting podcast on PEMF, and that's pulsing electromagnetic field, which is kind of replicating what we see occur naturally on our planet. And that just helps your organs function better, optimally. Right. And it can be used for lots of different things. It's non-invasive. So you sit in a chair and you hold some tubing and you just hold it up against you. And depending on where your issue is where that would go. And you can do overall treatments. You can do specific treatments. It does take a special machine, so you have to have somebody who has the machine and knows how to use that. And you can do it anywhere, like from little 5-minute segments, do that 3 times, 15 minutes, half an hour, an hour. It just depends on, one, your health level, because if you're not healthy, you probably shouldn't do as much to begin with, because it could be hard on your body as it releases those toxins that have been built up. So that's PEMF. Another thing,
I was going to say, but you have some other machines
Yeah.
that you've been using, and so we might want to talk about some of those since we haven't had a podcast on them.
and so I have what's called a Rife machine, and that one is looking at frequencies. So it's kind of like sound waves. And this is an older technology. And so what it is that those sound waves, those frequencies adjust and resonate to specific cell structures. And so as it resonates, it can cause disruption, and then they will no longer exist. So it targets specific areas without targeting healthy areas around it. And so that's, and it's another non-invasive thing. I didn't bring mine with me because I have too many parts, but there's some electrodes that you hold. There's some little metal electrodes that you place on yourself, and there's feet plates. And so it's just another one where you sit down, you don't really feel any electricity on yourself or anything like that, but it's targeting by frequency specific areas. And so those areas have a frequency number that correlates to it. And so if you have maybe problems with constipation, you can do a constipation program, and it will have those frequencies that help that system. And so it's really non-invasive. It's a time thing. All of these things take time. And so that's a Rife machine. And those you can get yourself. You don't have to have somebody do that treatment for you. The one I have a booklet on it. And so it gives me all the frequency numbers, because those are pretty much going to be standard. And so you program the machine yourself, and you just sit and do those things. And that's the Rife machine.
And the first thing you had me try was a red light
therapy. So the red light therapy is actually something that's going to go through your skin and affect cellular activity. And what it's looking at on the cell is the mitochondria. And I don't know who remembers way back in science, but the mitochondria are like the little factories of your cell. And so it helps those to function properly. And then that helps the cell to function properly and do its job as best as it can. So some people have seen, I think we see it a lot for like collagen and face masks and more youth sustaining type things. But it can also be used for pain. It can be used to help treat joints or things that are
inflamed.
Yeah, inflamed, have any type of damage to it. And so that's red light therapy. They have it. We've seen them in the face mask. They have mats that you can lay on or place on top of you. And so it just depends the area you need to
I even saw one in my news feed, which was like a big suit. It had feet and legs and arms.
Yes. And so, I mean, it just depends on what your budget is, because the smaller ones will be less expensive and the larger ones. I imagine the suit was probably a little pricey.
I'm sure it was. I didn't click on it, but...
Yeah, so it just depends on the area you're trying to treat. So let me see. Red light. Another one that I've done is a hydrogen therapy, and that is with a machine, and you're breathing the hydrogen in. And the thing with that is on the free radicals that have the extra O on it, it's connecting those to the hydrogen and getting those out of your system. Because those free radicals are things that we don't want.
Right. And so then it makes basically a water in your H2O.
Yeah. So then you get that extra oxygen off of there and hook it up with the hydrogen you're breathing in. So some other treatments you can do are enemas, and those help clear out your digestive system, getting everything cleared through there. And they also, parasites tend to be a problem, and they're usually in our digestive system. And so if you're doing those, then that can remove parasites out, which are not healthy for you to have in there, because they're going to steal all the nutrients that should be going to you and in your cells. So that's another thing that's available as an option for some different types of treatment. I think as I've gone through some things that I didn't really get the support I wanted from the standard medical practice, that it's opened my eyes to some other alternatives that are available that have worked, that do work, and they address specific things. Another one is supplements. And those really, not all supplements are created equal.
True.
So you want to make sure you're getting it from a good, reputable source. But you can address a lot through supplements. And of course, that's not going to ever replace nutrition. You want to make sure you're eating properly. But when we have been eating poorly for so long, sometimes you need a boost to help get your nutrition and the cellular activity back in shape again. So supplements are another really great way to do that.
I think one of the things they learned in 2020 was the importance of vitamin D. Mm-hmm. And people aren't getting enough vitamin D as a standard. And so a lot of doctors are asking people to supplement that.
And even with a D, you want to make sure it's matched up with a K so that it's absorbed properly in your system. You don't just want to get a D by itself. And you can, but it's really not going to benefit you. The other thing with supplements is that they will go through your system if you don't need them. So you will excrete them and it won't cause any damage.
Right. So if people wanted to research more, what would be some good ways for them to look up more information to?
So with most of these things, if you were to go look them up online on Google, it's always going to have a disclaimer on there saying this is not recommended for whatever type of treatment. And so I think that's a valid thing for them to say. But I think sometimes as we look at some of the standard medical practices that we have, which is addressed with a prescription to treat a symptom, not really address the root. And I think everything that I've kind of looked at and have started working towards is really addressing root issues. Because if you take a prescription for a symptom, that prescription also has side effects, which can then cause another symptom, which then you have another medication that may interact badly with this one and have symptoms. And so for me, I really want to address the root of my issue. And so a lot of that is really going back to those basic things with what kind of nutrition am I putting in? What kind of rest am I getting? And how much am I drinking? And am I drinking enough? And I think even if we look at just those things, if we really look at them, most of us aren't doing well. The American diet is something that we have breakfast, and it's a bunch of carbohydrates, and it's a bunch of sweets, and it's, juices, cereals, pastries, danishes, all these things that really aren't that great for you to have. And yet that's our standard diet. We're not doing the eggs. We're not doing a slice of bacon, and so there's just a lot of things in those first three things that I said. If we just looked at those, I think that would help with a lot of the other issues. And then if you have healthy cells, you're going to have a healthier you. And I didn't even mention exercise.
Right.
And the older you get, the harder it is to move, and then the harder it is to exercise. And those things just kind of
build on each other.
And you have to do the exercise in order to be able to move, even though it may be a little bit uncomfortable or painful, and work within your capacity that you have.
Mm-hmm. So do you have any success stories you want to share for any of these treatments?
I have noticed improvements, and I think since I'm doing this a slower process, a slower way, I think it's probably going to take me a little bit longer to get to the point where I want to be. And so I think part of that for me is that I need to be patient, and I need to realize it took me a long time to get to the health status that I am at currently in order to get better. And
that's one thing that we hadn't mentioned is natural healing often takes a lot longer it's not an immediate result, like maybe surgery or other
inconsistency. You have to do these things regular. I can't eat well for one day and then say, well, I did it for one day, because that's really not going to benefit me long term. So it's being consistent with the things that I'm doing, and
making that time in your day to sit down and do all that. Because I'm sure, I don't know how long you have to stand on your vibration pad, but it's probably 10, 15 minutes, and then your lights of 10 or 15 minutes.
And everything takes time. So, and that's probably the hardest part, is just that the time it takes to do all of these things. But like I said, I'm embracing this in a different way, not because this is what I thought at the beginning, but this is kind of how I wound up going because of resistance I was meeting for care. And so,
and you can really say you do feel better.
I do. I think really right now is the healthiest that I have been, nutritionally, and like so many different ways. And so it's been a real learning process for me, and something to embrace and just realize some things about who I am as a person. And so it's been a journey, but I think and I'm not done. And so as I continue going forward, I expect to continue to see good results and continued progress. So patience.
Well, and it's going to be a lifelong.
Yeah. And this is stuff I should have been doing and would need to continue doing.
Lifelong change, I guess, lifestyle change.
Yeah.
And maybe not doing as much every day, but.
Yeah. There will probably be maintenance as I go forward, but just even with my diet, cleaning that up. And I used to drink all sorts of different things, and now I am doing water. And so I used to love Coke and thought that was wonderful. And now if I have those things, I'm just like, ugh, I can't believe I drank this. And I do stay away from artificial sweeteners. I don't do those either.
Right.
Which there's a lot of controversy on how beneficial they are. But people will say, well, it's 0 calories and there's no sugar, and so I should drink a lot of that. Maybe not.
Maybe not.
Maybe water is your better friend.
So on that note, drink your water, eat your fruits and vegetables, get some whole grains in there and quality protein.
Yes.
And that's a great start for any kind of healing that your body needs to do. And we'd like to thank you all for joining us today as we explored this natural healing. There's all kinds of options out there, so do some research and see what you think. And come back next time for another great episode of Health IQ Podcast.
Special thanks to our guest, Joyce Runyan, natural health advocate, and our host, Brenda Bishop, Quay County Health Council Coordinator.
Podcast crew, Director, Robert F. Hockaday. Producers, Robert F. Hockaday, Joyce Runyan. Camera Operator, Robert F. Hockaday. Second Assistant Operator, Joyce Runyan. Editor, Joyce Runyan. Music provided by David Morris. Funding for this podcast is provided by New Mexico Legislative Appropriation from Representative Jack Jackson. Brought to you by Quay County Health Council. Follow us on YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram at Quay County Health. If you have content ideas, reach out to us at healthiqpodcast@gmail.com.
This podcast was created solely for educational and entertainment purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for advice from a healthcare or mental health professional.